Picture a high-stakes meeting. One person dominates the conversation, firing off statistics with absolute confidence. Everyone else nods along, assuming the most vocal person is also the most capable. It's a common mental shortcut. We often equate speed and volume with high intelligence, assuming that the person with the most answers must have the deepest understanding of the problem. But watch these dynamics closely, and you'll notice someone else. At the end of the table, one person is leaning back, watching the conversation unfold. They aren't quiet because they lack an answer. They're quiet because their brain is currently busy testing what is actually true. This person reveals their intelligence through subtle psychological patterns, quiet habits in how they think, how they question and process information before they ever open their mouth. To find the real drivers of innovation, we have to look past the loud performance and identify these 7 specific behaviors that define a highly analytical mind. While others focus on winning the debate, the analytical mind is busy collecting information on the underlying group dynamics. They track subtle signals: who interrupts, who becomes defensive when challenged, and how many people shift their direction the moment the group's authority node speaks. This observation allows them to run silent thought experiments. Their mind opens parallel tabs, simulating how a statement triggers different reactions. This tracks the chain reaction, isolating a hidden flaw that others, reacting only to the surface, completely missed. This habit leads directly to another: the ability to notice contradictions. They are constantly stress testing every new statement against everything they already know. To a highly intelligent and analytical mind, a logical inconsistency feels exactly like a loose thread in a knitted sweater. While others let a flawed generalization slide, the analytical mind detects the ripple of a small mental alarm. By the time the conversation reaches its peak, the quiet observer has built a highly accurate structural map of the problem, identifying the gaps that the faster-moving participants have glossed over. Once the dominant speaker finishes pitching their complex strategy, the intelligent observer often breaks their silence with a single question. A complex strategy often rests entirely on a single unverified block. The intelligent mind ignores the upper tiers and targets that foundational assumption. A simple question, "Why assume this works?" reveals the plan was built on something unchecked, causing the logic to fall apart. In that sudden silence, the entire group often turns to the observer, expecting an immediate better alternative. Instead of pretending to know everything, they are often comfortable saying, "I don't know." In complex environments, this intellectual honesty is a rare signal that someone understands the world is too complicated for simple, immediate answers. Real problem solving starts with dismantling false certainty. By admitting what is unknown, they ensure the next plan isn't built on the same shaky ground as the first. Near the end of the meeting, fatigue usually sets in. The group often begins to coalesce around a mediocre plan just to conclude the session and move on. This is where the analytical mind resists groupthink. They maintain a quiet distance, separating what is factually true from what the group is agreeing to simply because of social pressure. They evaluate the actual evidence, asking if the group is nodding because the idea is sound or if they're just tired of the conflict. This detachment can be mistaken for stubbornness by colleagues who want a quick resolution. However, the observer's priority is accuracy, and they are unwilling to accept an idea at face value just because it is popular. Historically, most major breakthroughs in science and business began with this specific type of friction: the willingness to ask, "What if we're all wrong?" even when the rest of the room is ready to move forward. But what happens when that friction goes the other way? Imagine a colleague presents new data that proves the quiet observer's own theory was incorrect. Instead of getting defensive, they immediately pivot. They treat their beliefs as a working hypothesis, held only until better information comes along. Revising a position in front of a group demonstrates a level of intellectual flexibility that is much rarer than standard confidence. It signals that their loyalty belongs to the truth, not to their own ego. High intelligence isn't a performance. It prioritizes truth over the appearance of being right. In your next meeting, try watching the room instead of dominating it. Use this quiet playbook to see what everyone else is missing.